I will explain adverse possession. Kuch Bihar Raja and the Raja of Rangupur, on the other side, they used to play what we call chausar ya pasha khelte the wo. In that, they used to bet. They used to lay bets, and the bets used to be okay. This particular round, I put this village or that village on bet. So if the other person won, that village became his. I mean, went to him, and he became the master of all the uh, deliberations and all the activities of that village.
So, hello audience, and welcome to Policy Podcast. I, Shivam, a third year undergraduate from Civil Engineering.
And I, Harnoor Kaur from second year MBA, will be your hosts for today.
So, today we have someone really special, IPS Mirtyunjay Singh Sir, who is an advisor to the Prachi Group. He brings onto this table his 25-year long experience in policing, representing Indian diplomacy in Jakarta, Bali, consultant to various organizations, at the same time being a poet, columnist, and a lyricist at heart. Honestly, sir, it's an honor talking to you, and hosting you here
Thank
at
you.
our event is an even greater honor. So,
Thank
once
you.
again,
Namaste.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for joining us this evening to our policy podcast.
Yeah.
Sir, if you have
Yeah.
some words for our audience.
Good evening to all of you. I don't know exactly the target group, but I believe it's more of youngsters uh, whose evenings are free and who are more focused towards doing something or the other, and looking forward to listening to us. So I welcome them all on this podcast, along with the team. I mean, Shivam and Harnoor. And let's begin. Let's continue with our discussion.
Yeah. So thank you, sir, for your kind words. Sir, we have framed some questions from your long and varied experiences. We'd like to take those first, right? So moving ahead to the first
Yeah,
one. Yes, sir. So civil services is often, a very buzzword among the youth. Like whenever we encounter
yeah,
someone who's, made it through UPSC, the journey is something
yeah.
that we always look up to, right? So like we'd like to hear your story. Like what was your motivation behind civil services, and how did you find your true calling? Like this is something I would like to, make my career in. So your story, sir.
I am well at the outset. I must tell and confess rather, and admit that I have not been one of those very studious ones and very focused ones that who has been preparing for UPSC wholeheartedly since the kind of school days or even the college. You will be surprised to know that when I did my graduation from St. Columbus Hazaribagh in history honors, and then I went to for the masters in Delhi University. Actually, when I went to do my masters in Delhi University, I was not sure what exactly am I going to do, and I just took one step forward, uh, each step I would say. And it is just that after doing my MA previous, I realized some of them talking to some of the hostel mates and all, who were seniors also. Some of them were peer group, some of them were seniors, maybe a year junior or so. Then I realized that everybody was, preparing for UPSC. Out of them, I heard that some of them have already qualified for the interview and all. And especially one of them, whom I consider to be a uh, very below average kind of a student. And I said that these people can do, and I can also do it. Why not? Let's try my luck. And my mom used to keep on saying that I hear that some of the houses, people are IAS, IPS. We come from my father was a first generation uh, person who came out with a government job out of village, left village and came to. So, and he took the responsibility of catering and supporting all five of us, and then another six, seven of my cousins and everybody. We have a joint family, so that everybody studies well, everybody's schooling is taken care of, and the college and everything. So, if even today, perhaps people coming from that background, they are very starry-eyed about government. When you see these red lights and blue lights and everything, you realize, oh man, there's something separate, something different with these people. I'll come to that also later. So these are the images which my mother also had. My mother is, I would say, completely illiterate, but very well educated in the sense her worldly knowledge is much more than what I can comprehend, and I can see today in the today's women or people. So she kept on, rattling that and repeating that. I also, why don't I have three, four sons and all? Somebody should be an IS or IPS officer. So I took my chances. The first time only I cracked it. I went to the Indian Customs and Central Excise Services. And the next time those days we used to have three chances. Nowadays you have, I don't know, four, five, six, some of them eight also. You grow old taking examinations. And our time, the average age used to be quite young. People used to be by 24, 25 used to be in the service. And even if you came from the reserved category, by 28, I think most of them, 28, 30, 29, they used to be there. Nowadays, it goes up to 33, 35 also. So that's my story. I came to IPS, and then after that, I did not take the third chance. I could have improved on that, but I realized let's not waste time in taking exams one after another. And after all, what I can do as an IS officer, those days I did not have an idea what exactly IS officers do and what exactly IPS officers do. But I realized that, okay, in a uniform, perhaps I'll be able to help some people. Well, I never had this kind of idea in my mind or this kind of a goal that I'm going to change my society or reform my society or something like that. It's a very big kind of idea or goal one can fix for himself. To me, it was, again, I was a drifter. I just took life as it comes to me. But yes, I thought that, okay, let me get into this by being the government, by being in the uniform at a senior level. If I can change lives of a few people, few families, I would consider myself to be lucky. Yeah.
Yes, so that's a great journey and very inspiring, honestly, for many of us who just see the aspirants preparing for the exam from a third person point of view and frequently think about giving it a shot once in a while. Moving on to the next question, sir. In your role handling diplomatic relations with Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal, can you share a particularly memorable or a learning experience where your diplomatic skills were crucial? And what were the key challenges? And did you achieve any positive outcome out of this?
Well, before I delve into the crux of your question, I should give you a little bit of background that how I landed up in the Ministry of External Affairs. I had already put in about 14 years of my service, and I had done three districts. I was a SP Bankura, then SP Murshidabad, and today you see there are three districts in Midnapur. Those days it used to be not truncated. It was a huge. It was in fact the biggest district of the country. It has a crore of population. We had around 52 police stations in that district. Troubled, problematic. And then I came to Calcutta Police. I was there, served as sometime as a senior DC Armed Police. Then I was 3 years DC Traffic of the city. And while working as DC Traffic and adding things to the city, trying to make traffic better and make the Calcutta city look like a modern city, because I always thought those days that Calcutta was looking like an overgrown village. Still, we did not have a sense of traffic. I was feeling bored. I was feeling very, not disgusted, but bored. So, and that is the time when all of a sudden this opportunity came that I can join as a regional passport officer in the Ministry of External Affairs, as well as the director of the branch secretariat, which looks after the whole of Eastern region, that means Bihar upwards, and the northeastern states also. As a RPO, I used to look after West Bengal, Sikkim, and Tripura, 3 states. And as director of the branch secretariat, I used to look after the whole of Eastern region, Eastern states, as well as the northeastern uh, states. So there, that is the time when we used to. My job was to be political reporting vis-a-vis Bangladesh, mainly Bangladesh uh, and Bhutan and Myanmar. But Nepal came. It was in Ministry of External Affairs. You have different divisions. So this division of Nepal was different. I mean, we were looked after by, I used to report to the BSM division, that is Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar division, whereas the Nepal was in the North division. But if you remember, there was a time when we had this a lot of left extremism there in Nepal. And a time came when they surrendered and they came to political power. They was grabbing political power. So that is the time when they had to surrender arms, and those arms were taken into account, and it has to be assembled at one place. I still remember with the Concord, I organized from here in Calcutta. I organized all those wagons, big wagons, which are made by Concord, where these arms will be surrendered arms would used to be kept and sealed and taken by the government. So, in Bangladesh, of course, even today remains in the fore for our security reasons. I would say for our country, neighboring countries are in diplomacy. Neighboring countries are very important for us. Bangladesh is one of them, and Bangladesh we have a lot of issues, like we have child trafficking, we have women trafficking, we have illegal trade, which they call it an informal trade, but we call it an illegal trade. Then we had those days, we had a very long pending issue with Bangladesh regarding the adverse possessions. I don't know whether you all understand adverse possessions. When when we signed an agreement after Bangladesh was formed in 1971, in 74 there was a treaty between India and Bangladesh known as the Indira Mujib Agreement. Mujibur Rahman, who was the prime minister, the first prime minister of the Bangladesh. So in that, when we were demarcating our boundaries at that point of time, before when the Pakistan was made, this was the East Pakistan, the erstwhile East Pakistan. You will see that one fine morning, there were lines were drawn all along the border by someone on maybe a peg of whiskey or a wine or whatever, little realizing that some people's lives have been truncated and divided and scattered into many parts and segregated into many parts. For example, there are houses where the toilet goes into Bangladesh and the house is in India. So into India like that, and villages went to Bangladesh. Now the situation is that your village is in Bangladesh, but the moment you come out of your village, all around the place belongs to India. So where do you go for your market, for your school, for everything? So this was supposed to be, according to the treaty, these adverse positions were supposed to be handed over to each other mutually, with the mutual part of cooperation and consent. But it so happened, and so happens even today in governments, that because I and you are not affected, so it became a kind of a very lengthy process. Every time the draft used to be prepared, and drafts and drafts and redrafts and everything. So that was a crazy experience for me. I thank Mr. Mohan Kumar, who was the then joint secretary of the BSM division. He took the lead, and we prepared a draft where we wanted to do something. We wanted to implement that. And as a result, the one thing which had happened, which was earlier, it was in 1992, when you must have heard about the Teen Bigha corridor. in Kuch Bihar. The Teen Bihar corridor is what? It is a corridor which connects the two conglomeration of villages which belong to Bangladesh. And this corridor was India. That India was supposed to give that Teen Bigha land of corridor to them so that the people can do their agriculture activities and everything and do not get impeded or obstructed by being by stepping into the Indian land. But after that, that happened, but the rest of all were pending. So that finally we did something, and even after that, I still remember that this was way back in 2006-7 or something like that, and it took still 7 years. In 2014, finally, the adverse positions issue was resolved between India and Bangladesh. I consider, though bureaucrats are faceless, nameless people, we should remain. We have no faces. We do not have our names etched in history as the politicians do. But then, along with other team members of mine, some of them are ambassadors right now in different countries in diplomacy, and I really I feel that it was very, very satisfying and very kind of achievement to us that we could do that, and we could prepare a draft which is acceptable to both the countries, and we could arrive at a decision. So that was one of my very I was very excited about that then. I've today narrated this story, perhaps not so excited, but then those days, every word, which word has to be put, which word feeling, which emotion has to be, which expression has to be put, because in diplomacy, the words matter. You call it resolve the issue, somebody will say, no, we have not resolved, we are still deliberating. So whether you will use the word resolve or deliberation or solution, these things takes days. It's a very, I should not say crazy, it's a very enriching experience for a diplomat to be in this kind of exercise.
Yeah, I guess it was quite an experience for you, that position. Yeah. So moving
Yeah,
ahead with the next question. So
yes.
balancing your responsibilities as a poet and as a lyricist with your demanding role in police force must be challenging. So could you describe your creative process and like how do you manage to find your time for your artistic pursuits, right? So what role does creativity play in our lives and for our overall well-being? Like pretty big and question, right?
The three parts to your question. The
Yeah.
first is, I'd say that I don't know whether you people have fallen in love. I did, and even today I am. Uh, if you fall in love, do you ever have thought that how do you take out time for your partner or somebody whom you love? Time
I
comes to
guess
you.
yeah, exactly.
It comes to you. You sneak out of something and go and grab it. Whenever you are at peace, at leisure, you are in with somebody, with something. Poetry, music has been something like that to me. I remember in the thick of the problems in when I joined as SP Midnapur, there were every day there were clashes between the political parties. Houses were burnt, people were killed, children got in I mean totally burnt and died in the houses. Very ghastly scenes I have witnessed. And after that, coming back to for 5, 6, 7 years being in the film, doing the law and order as SP, so you can imagine the plight of the other officers. And sitting there, and I used to at times tell them that give me a cup of tea and just leave me alone for some time. And I used to reflect on those experiences and my own emotions because in government you do not get time to reflect on your own emotions. You are हम कारिंदे हैं वहां पर हम मातहत हैं. You are a kind of executioner. Have you ever thought of the man who executes people, a jallad, जिसको हम कहते हैं जो फांसी लगाते हैं? What does he do? Why does he have to, put somebody, hang somebody, the hangman or a hang woman? Think about the emotion and experience of theirs. What brings them to that kind of experience and what they must be thinking? Similarly, here, you go through an experience and you take out time because you love reflecting on your own emotions, and those emotions cleans your heart, I would say. People who do not, mostly people who are not at peace today, with the today's generation, I have an issue, though I also use smartphones, in fact, not one, two, but then you have to know what are your priorities, what exactly you want to do. The whole world is out to bombard you with information. There's a total kind of a chaos of information all around, but you have to focus what exactly you want to do. So unless you are with yourself, unless you sit back and reflect on your own emotions and feeling, how would you be able to cleanse your heart? How will you be able to correct yourself? Or how will you be able to even think whether you did right or wrong? You keep on doing something and you don't reflect on that. You reach where? You reach nowhere exactly. You just lived a day. That is also, some people find it very interesting, living a day and then again sleeping by the night and next morning again picking up the day as it comes. We also did it, but then while going through the day, there were certain experiences which pinched me, which touched my heart. For example, I'll tell you, as additional SP operations in Darjeeling, those were the troubled times. Just after that troubled times where that accord was, GNLF accord was signed. But for people, it is a peaceful time, it's a peace time, but those times are worse than the troubled times because you have to bring back everything into order. So those days we are still dealing with all those disillusioned kind of youth who did not know how to deal with their lives. They only had learned how to kill people, how to use a gun, how to use a bomb or a grenade. Now you are asking them to live a peaceful life. Well, what do they do? So, during that time, we had to, there was somebody whom we had to catch. I mean, he was an accused person in many cases and murders and this and that. On a tip off, we traveled in my SP also was, SSP also was in that raid. And when we traveled up the hills, it has started raining. So from a 500 feet to going up to the 6,000 feet, from a kind of a summerish kind of a feeling to a cold kind of a atmosphere, were totally drenched, wet. Our jackets were already, drenched. When we reached their house, we found him. His wife was there. His son was there. And you know what they did? First, his son took our jackets, raised it to, make it slightly dry so that that water dripping all over is finished. And then they made the Darjeeling, they have a salted tea. So they made a tea, and his wife, the accused wife, and offered it to us. We had the tea also. When we were coming back down, and they gave us a blanket. When we were coming down along with him, he's arrested. So his wife, when she bid us goodbye from home, his son came with us to take the blanket, of course, back. So she said, "Sir, मेरो जहान ले no मारनुस sir, जान ले no मारनुस." जहान बोलते हैं अपने पति को या वाइफ को, तो कहते हैं मेरे हस्बैंड को सर ना जान से मत मारिएगा सर। उसने ये भी नहीं कहा कि इसको पीटिएगा मत या मारिएगा मत। And when we came back, while traveling back, We didn't speak a word. We just walked down. He was put into the vehicle. We came to the local police station. And my SP, I just asked my SP, sir, what do we do with him? And then we took his statements and all. But we found that that man has, his involvement was not a direct involvement. His involvement was like everybody's involvement. I mean, in the hills, with the troubled times, everybody was supporting something or the other. So, I mean, he was made out to be a criminal. But he was actually not a criminal. So my SP just got up from his seat. This is look at the beauty of it. My SP got up from the seat and went out, sat in his car. Okay, boys, you take care of yourself. See to it that he reaches back home safely. And he left. He didn't say anything. He didn't give us instruction. Instruction was hidden. That why should we unnecessarily criminalize a person? Now, this particular story remained in my heart. And it will get reflected when I write poem or some kind of a story or kind of a novel or something. These emotions, I'm not writing about somebody. I'm not writing about something. I'm writing about generally what I feel. Poets do not write about incidents. That is, I would call it sloganeering. I will call it, people call it Ram Lala ki baat ho rahi hai, aap kuch likh nahi rahe. I am not supposed to write about Ram Lalas or something which is happening in the country on a day-to-day basis. It is the feeling which I get out of that. The poets are visionaries. They are supposed to look at things beyond what is happening today. It is symptomatic. If you have a problem in the social fabric, it is a symptom of something going wrong between people. It is not the symptom of, it is not something which you can correct right now by doing by promulgating one law. One law. We have thousands of laws here in India about rape, about outraging women modesty. Has it been stopped? Go and count on Google. Do the survey and see how bad it is today. So does that mean somebody can say, do you think during your childhood rapes did not occur? Of course it did. But at last, people fought against it. It was considered bad. But today, if you consider corruption to be accepted norm of the society, I mean, I would say something is wrong with my mind, isn't it? And then what did you ask? I'm sorry, I got slightly swayed by that question. What was that one part of the question you said? Should I read that? No.
So the last part was like, what role does creativity play in our overall well-being and professional life?
Yes. And what role does, as I said earlier, first, in very sharp pointers, first, it cleanses your heart. Second, why I'm emphasizing on your heart? Because mind is only mind is a trickster. Mind tricks. It is not, it is the guidance comes from your heart. It is the emotions which start affecting your mind and force you to think. So first, it cleanses your heart. Second, it makes you human. Humane or not, I do not know, but at least it makes you human. You start understanding the humans and your co-brothers and sisters and fellows citizens as citizens and not the me and us and others. This feeling goes off. Thirdly, at a psychic level, it does something. Psychic level, what happens? You all must be talking about in the science about different kind of energies. There's one is that kinetic energy, another is what is it called? That energy. One is a kinetic and a potential energy. Okay, so potential kinetic and how it gets changed into each other in the scientific devices. Now you think about this particular experience where you're at a psychic level, something in you gets translated into a potential from the potential to a kinetic energy, and it drives you actually towards that. How do you become an engineer? You are not born an engineer, because you are taught and you are forced. If not forced, you have been kind of groomed in a particular fashion to go and attain something. But still, after becoming an engineer, how many of you do the engineering in your life? Some become civil servants, some become reporters, some become NGO workers or their own kind of a setup. Some become a startup kind of, they come up with their startups nowadays. So everybody chooses his path, but choosing his path, this is what your energies do. With the culture, if you are connected with poetry, connected with music, connected with any form of fine arts, be it painting or sculpture, it uh, brings your energy to a level where you actually get connected to yourself, means the universe. You connect yourself with the universe. We live in a multiverse. We call it a universe, but we live actually in a multiverse where we do not know what is beyond our universe. It is only through that psychic energy we connect to those kind of emotions. And that is what helps us in becoming a better human being, becoming a more bigger achievers, whatever you want to become. You want to become a musician. You think a musician, one of your friend who plays guitar or a violin or whatever, the tabla or dholak or rhythm, whatever, go and ask him how many hours he practices. There are no skill which is a soft skill. In lectures, I see teachers say, this is a soft skill. There is no skill which is a soft skill. They're all hard-learned life lessons. There are no power which is a soft power. Power is power. So this is how it had changed my life. And I have started reflecting on a lot of things like that. I mean, if I to keep on talking about it, it will take not hours, it will take days perhaps. Someday we'll share about some stories. So it answers your question? I suppose
Yes,
so.
it does.
Or
Yes,
if
it
you
does.
want to elaborate, you can ask me again. No problems.
No, sir, it does answer my question.
Right, sir. That I completely agree with you. I myself am really fond of writing poetry, and I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more with you that it comes all from emotions and experiences and things that actually stay with you. Um,
Yes.
yes, sir. So in between, you talked
For
about.
example, for example, for example, I'll tell you,
Hmm.
when I was writing Meghdut, I have never written things in just like a one morning something or the other. No, it keeps on churning. There's a churning goes on in your mind and in yourself. So when I write Mukti, the first verses were, ऐ मेघ तेरे तन पर जो दिखती मुझको काली छाया काली छाया श्यामल छाया. You know, remember, this Kalidas's time, there was no problem of environment. There was no pollution. It was not an issue. But why does it come to me? A poet, I write, ऐ मेघ तेरे तन पर जो दिखती मुझको श्यामल छाया, तूने भी क्या विरह में जलकर पाई ऐसी काया, या फिर जगत के दूषण से है मलिन तुम्हारा जल भी, रो नैनों से झरता है आंखों का काजल भी. It's a question which a poet is asking to himself. So this is how you embed or you bring in the elements of today. That's why I always say, if you want to know the history of your times, read poets, read literature of that times, not the uh, officially and politically written histories. They will tell you only one aspect of it, specific things about it. No, how many of you know that what was धर्मन बाई आरा में, जिनको हम लोग जानते हैं, वीर कुंवर सिंह की, जो उनको रखैल कहते हैं हम लोग, उनकी रखैल थी. बट व्हाट वाज हर कंट्रीब्यूशन? हुस्ना बाई बेगम और अजीजन बेगम, जो आपके नवाब के यहाँ थी लखनऊ में, जो कानपुर में जाके she became intelligence officer, or she used to take man's attire and ride horses with a pistol and all, and used to do intelligence and contributed immensely to the 1857 rebellion? No one knows, because these things are not talked about in history books. No one can. It is the poets talk about it. It is the literati who talk about it. Okay, I'm sorry, I digressed a little bit.
Not at all, sir. It's great
You
to
were
hear
telling
you.
something, Harnoor, about your
Yes, sir.
this. Please, I would like to hear that.
No, sir. I was just telling that I myself love writing poetry, and even for me, it's just a way when I am experiencing something or witness something that deeply makes you
Yeah,
emotional. That's when you diverge to write something about it.
yeah,
Sir, I have another question for you. As
yeah.
someone passionate about Indian folk music, what are your views on its current state, and what do you believe are the most critical steps that we need to do to preserve and promote this cultural heritage? And also, would you like to share any personal experiences or projects maybe that you were involved in supporting folk music?
Okay, first of all, why is folk known as folk? लोक से आती है ना वो. So you are born amidst a folk culture. So wherever you belong to, that cannot be taken out from you. So whether we support or you do not support, folk lives in you. And that is from where when you become sensitive enough and you have the receptivity and you have the sensibility to actually nurture those elements and accept those elements, then those elements get fruition, and that finally blossoms into some kind of a creation, whether it's in painting or literature or poetry or a song. Now, folk songs for me, I have been very rooted to my own Bhojpuri kind of a folk music and folk culture. In fact, the first novel which I wrote, Gangaratan Bidesi, is in Bhojpuri itself originally. Though I have done Hindi translation also, but I myself do not like so much. It has been published by the Gyanpith. Today, Bani Prakashan is publishing it. So, in that novel, while dealing with the story of, it's a saga of 100 years, based on a Girmitya, the first lot of Girmitya goes to Natal and gets entangled into Gandhi movement, comes to India, and 3 generations of them. Anyway, I bring in on purpose the certain songs. हमारे यहाँ भोजपुरी में देर आर श्रम गीत जो होते हैं, या बिरहा गाते हैं, या सोहर गाते हैं, या झूमर गाते हैं, जत्सार गाते हैं, पीड़िया गाते हैं. These are all the folk elements which I am born with. And if I wait for somebody to come and do work for me, who will do? You yourself will have to do something. And today you see best of the music composers. For example, I take today's very big name, A.R. Rahman. The whole background score of Bombay. If you remember that tune, होत फजरवारा मा होई है मोर गवनावा. See the similarity between the two. All those big musicians do not say that they are influenced by a folk music, but most of it comes from a folk. Without folk, there is no classical. Classic comes from the folk. It is not the other way around. Kathak was basically a folk dance. Kathak was the way our dancers narrated stories about things. But all of a sudden, the Nawab realized that it should be, it has elements of becoming a kind of a classical piece. So they patronized and they groomed them well, and it became a folk music. A classical kind of form of dance. So many of them you will see. I just give you one small example which I connected to, but there are a lot of, you see, Bengali folk, Bhatiyali, hordes of S.D. Burman, Hore Maji, then what's of song? अभिमान के जितने गाने हैं, तेरे मेरे मिलन की ये रहना, ये सब they are Ravindra Sangeet. Ravindra Sangeet is a kind of a melange of all kinds. It's like a bouquet of all kinds of music. But mostly it is Baul, it is Bhatiyali, it is Bhavaiya. And the tendency of folks to mingle together is very very strong. If you move from Bengal to Bihar to UP to Haryana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, you'll find, if you listen to Pandavani, if you go to Rajasthan and listen to these are Manganiyars, Langa Manganiyars, and all these people. So this is how folk is embedded in us, and the only thing which I did personally do is that I never left it. Because I enjoy music and I enjoyed writing. How did I write? I came as I used to write my own songs and sing just like that. Later, the T series wanted to make an album long back. That's a different story. There was a album known as A Babua, and then Rukja Sajanwa. There are 7-8 songs. But one fine morning, Rituparno Ghosh, Rituparno, the filmmaker Bengal, he came to my house looking for a Bhojpuri folk song for his film, the big film, that Chokher Bali. And I didn't know what to offer to him. I gave him some traditional bhajans he wanted, and then he picked up one of them and he asked me to sing that bhajan also in that film. I did. I wrote for him in Antar Mahal also, where Abhishek Bachchan has sung those lines. Then I did for Suman Mukhopadhyay, who did Chaturang. I wrote some Sufi songs which was sung by Safkat Amanat Ali. Then Chitra has sung in Baya Darjeeling. Then who else? Yes, Dharm, Bhavna Talwar. So I still write. I mean, in Bengal, music directors and musicians like Jyoti Mishra, Prabhuddha Banerjee, I keep on working with them. Upali Chattopadhyay, I keep on working with them. And that's like my Sunday. Like tomorrow morning, even if I have to go as afternoon, I have to take a flight to Delhi. In the morning, 10 o'clock, that's our couple of hours is like our adda. We sit, we just deal with music, nothing else. So this is how it has affected me. It has been with me, and in future, yes, I am associated with banglanatak.com. I am also associate trustee of Japan Chitro Foundation. I am also associated with some of the festivals of the Baul festivals of the Bengal and Bhojpuri music, of course. And I keep on contributing from as a artist, but at the same time from other resources, because that's a tragedy of times. When the kings and the patrons have gone today, but for the business, there are no patrons. All the government bodies basically become a clique-oriented kind of a bodies, where you have ICCR, you have a whole lot of Sangeet Natak Academy and everywhere. But out of them, everywhere you'll see that there's a cartelization of everything. There's a political. It becomes a political group. But there are a lot of free NGOs who are away from that. They are working in this direction. I always try to connect with them and do whatever little I can do.
So I must say this was such a beautiful description of your work. Like, I guess all our artists back in KGP would love to hear this podcast, and definitely from you as well. So now moving on to the last question for today.
Thank you.
So yeah, so what would be your message to the student community of IIT Kharagpur, and how should student be oriented towards career goals while keeping intact creativity, keeping intact creativity, just like you have successfully done in your career?
भाई, बड़े छोटे 2-4 शब्दों में मैं यही कहूंगा, 2 चीज तो पक्का करो, प्रेम करो, छूट के प्रेम करो, और जियो like you are not going to live tomorrow. because today is your chance, today is your day, just that. आज के दिन में जो करना है कर लेना है, कल का पता नहीं यार क्या होगा नहीं होगा, तो हमें नहीं पता, किसको पता है. And after living so many years of life, I realized how many people I have lost in between. The people whom I loved, there is dozens of them. For whom even today also, in my own kind of time and leisure, and when I'm alone and in my I cry for them. क्यों? क्योंकि मुझे लगता है वो बहुत कुछ कर सकते थे, बहुत कुछ होता उनके होने से, लेकिन वो नहीं हुआ. तो हमें जहां पहुंचना है, I am a believer. People who are non-believers, even non-believers are believers in some kind of philosophy, whatever, but I am a believer. And as a believer, I always think that everybody is destined to a path, destined to a goal. We will reach there, this way or that way. कोई सस्ते से निकल जाता है, कोई थोड़े ज्यादा संघर्ष से निकलता है, लेकिन पहुंचेगा जरूर. In between, what we tend to lose is, we tend to lose our own selves, our own self-dignity, our self-identity. हमें अपनी आइडेंटिटी बचा के रखनी है, because आप हैं, शिवम है. अगर शिवम का जो चेहरा हम देख रहे हैं या हरनूर का चेहरा देख रहे हैं, अगर इस नाम को हरनूर की जगह मैं स्मिता कहूं तो क्या होगा फिर? लेकिन पूरी की पूरी आइडेंटिटी बदल जाएगी. शिवम को हम मृत्युंजय कहें, पूरी आइडेंटिटी बदल जाएगी. So though this brand has been given to you by birth, you did not choose them. It is by birth, it has come to you. That's why I am believer. Did you choose your mother, your father, or your place of birth, your house of birth? You didn't. So you don't choose anything. You just have to tweak in between. जो तुम्हारे अंदर से जागता है उसको करो. If somebody, I know one of in my own family, my younger son is right from the beginning, I could see that he is an artist. He became a graphic designer. He is with the Srishti से उसने बाकायदा अपनी ग्रेजुएशन की BDes. Similarly, I know one of my own kind of साला बोलेंगे उसको तो, my wife's बुआ का बेटा. He was IIT Delhi. IIT Delhi, IIM Ahmedabad. After that, you know what does he do today? He lives in Goa and makes music. Just that. He lives by that. And he doesn't meet people, too many relatives and all, because he says that everybody will question me and ask me, so what are you thinking of doing some business? What are you thinking of doing? Man, I don't want to do business. I don't want to do this anything. I just want to live by what I believe in. So first, believe in something. The people who do not believe, who do not have a faith, who do not believe in something are actually not humans. They can be anything else. They are not humans. Because if you do not believe in something, you cannot instill belief or faith in anybody. You are of nobody. You are a loose cannon. Don't be a loose cannon, man. You want to hit a target. You don't want to be a loose cannon. Finally, at the end of the day, we want to hit a target. Let's hit a target. Maybe small, no problems.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really, we had a walk through your entire inspirational journey and your stories from the beginning of your UPSC journey and you being present during moments of national security and drafting crucial diplomatic policies, and about love and emotions, self-reflection, the importance of poetry, and your passion for folk music, and finally, for us, the students, to hit the target. I am sure many students out there will be deeply inspired and will hopefully would love to be in the position you are one day, and with our own journeys and our own stories to tell. It has been a true honor to be in discussion with you this evening. We are truly grateful to you for taking out time for us from your busy schedule, and we hope to stay in touch with you for our future events. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Harnoor. Thank you, Shivam. Soon in the next month, I'll be in the Bangalore Literary Festival singing my Draupadi, which is my latest creation. I invite you all. It will be aired also, only streaming. तो सुनना उसको तुम लोग और जुड़े रहो. And it was a lovely talking to both of you. And through you, I don't know many of them. If I have uttered anything which is objectionable, or if I did hurt anybody, I apologize. I don't mean that. I didn't mean anything. I only narrated my personal feelings and how I have lived and how I live. Just that. It may be different. You may be in agreement. You may be in disagreement. But that's how life is all about. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Take
you so
care.
much,
Have a
sir.
nice weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.